Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our April Coffee with the Headmaster. Today's topic will be mainly on the Local Control Accountability Plan. Did I get that right? LCAP. All right, we'll go ahead and start with our mission statement, I believe, on the next slide. Ready? Begin. The mission of Orange County Classical Academy is to develop students in mind and character through a classical, content-rich, liberal arts and sciences curriculum that emphasizes the principles of scholarship, moral character, and civic virtue. Thank you. Just so you know, our students are expected to memorize this mission statement. So are our staff members, and we do this because not just for memorization, but we really want to make sure that all decisions that are made and everything that we do is aligned with our mission. Okay, next slide. Just a review of the commitment of norms for parents. Next slide. All right, we'll go ahead and hand it over for any special announcements or updates. Mr. Davis?
Do we have anything, Ms. Cleardo? I was just reminded. So I want to just express our appreciation for all those parents and students that worked hard getting crafts in last week. We broke a new record. We raised $2,015, and from the bottom of our hearts, we're grateful. Mrs. Salcedo, our director of visual and performing arts, is going to be using those funds very much needed to improve equipment and the setup here at the auditorium. So once again, thank you so much. This is an unprecedented amount, and we're really looking forward to next year as we grow as a school.
Good morning, everybody. As you know, we had our lottery, and I just wanted to give everybody an update just in case you weren't able to join us via Zoom. And these results are immediately after the lottery. So there were 1,024 applications that were in the lottery. And then after the cutoff, we had 1,076. Right now, the wait list after the lottery and students were put in seats, we've offered spots. We are at 916. We had 104 lower school spots available, and we had 26 upper school spots available. Parents, as you all know, or maybe some of the new families, they don't, but as we offer spots, we give 72 hours for families to accept the spot. If they don't, that application is known as being rescinded. So we go ahead and then we just offer a spot to the next person. So as you can imagine, the wait list numbers that students were assigned during the lottery, those numbers change. As students get accepted, your number could move up just by different grades. So if anybody has any questions at all regarding the lottery, where what your wait list number is, you can look that up on your own, or you can call the office, and the front office team is more than happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Wonderful, thank you. Good morning. For some lower school announcements, this week our students who are English language learners are taking their summative LPAC with our EL coordinator, Ms. Diaz, and so we wish them a lot of luck this week, and parents just know you'll get results as soon as we have them in the next few weeks. Our Q4 Virtue Assembly is going to be led by our Student Council this Friday to our 1st through 5th graders, and we look forward to that presentation. Just a reminder, this weekend is our upcoming annual gala fundraiser, and so we look forward to seeing you there on Saturday. April 7th on Monday, there is no school. It is a staff professional development day, so please mark your calendars. And then next week, we have our lower school open house. We are looking forward to seeing all of our current families and our new families that were just accepted through the lottery. Due to our growing attendance and as we grow as a school, we have separated open house into 2 events. We are very blessed to be growing as a school, but this makes for a very crowded campus. So we ask that all parents attend either the April 10th or April 11th date as assigned by your family's last name. If your family's last name is initials A through K, we ask that you come on April 10th, and your family's last name starts with an L or through Z. We ask that you come on April 11th. Open house will be open both nights from 4:30 to 6 o'clock. You'll be able to come and go into our classrooms. It's really wonderful for current families to go to next year's classrooms and go see the beauty that's taking place. And then our new families who were accepted through the lottery, please know that from 4:30 to 5 here in the auditorium, we will hold a new family presentation so you can learn more about the mission of our school. We look forward to seeing you there.
Then some upper school announcements. Mr. Chapu is out this week and next week on paternity leave with his new baby. We will have our upcoming house event on April 24th, our third one. Our students, it's really turned into a very joyful occasion, and our students really look forward to it, especially this one because our upper school students will be performing and engaging in a talent show. So I expect a lot of fun. And lower school has a career day coming up on the 23rd. However, upper school, instead of doing it during the day only with students, Mrs. Chapu is working on turning this into a bigger event, and it will be an evening event where parents are also invited. He's working with Mrs. Williams to just invite some special people who are in different fields, specifically around some of the career technology that our students may not necessarily have the opportunity to learn directly from. And so please expect for an announcement to be coming shortly. It may be sometime in May, depending on the availability, but we want to bring some special opportunities for students to not only listen to the experts, but also engage in different experiences.
Great. Okay, so right about this time every year, we take a couple of months to look back at how we have done as a school and to take that into consideration in terms of planning for the next school year. And we formalize this process in what's called the Local Control and Accountability Plan. It is a document that all public schools are required to populate. For us, as a classical school, however, it's our mission and my personal mission to ensure that that LCAP actually represents the heart and soul of our mission as a classical school. So I want to start off talking a little bit about what it means to be a classical school and what that needs to look like, so that we can then have a conversation about how the LCAP this year can reflect those priorities. Next slide. There we go. So over the last year, I found myself going back to a lot of the fundamental documents that our tradition in education is based on. And there is a passage from the Republic that has had an incredible resonance as we are now going into our 5th year as a school. Honestly, it's a quote we've seen on coffee cups. We don't think much about it. It seems really sentimental, but I think it deserves some reflection as we talk about what we are as a school. Okay, now I understand how this works. The quote is, the purpose of education is to teach us to love what is beautiful, right? Now, who could be against that? Who could be against what's beautiful? But Plato has a very specific understanding of what he means by beauty in this quote. What he means is what it is that we experience when we experience the beauty of coming in contact with the true and the good. The purpose of education is teaching students how to appreciate the beauty of coming in contact with the true and the good, morally, academically, and civically. So we have a very unique mission as a school. Next slide. All right. So if I were to choose one word to describe what we're trying to achieve, it's formation, right? Forming hearts, souls, and minds to be able to have that appreciation of the beauty of the true and the good. And you can think of it as occurring in three different aspects or dimensions: the moral, the academic, and the civic. So that's the mission in a nutshell. The school has to have all those aspects that achieve this mission of moral, academic, and civic formation. So what does that look like? It's achieved through pedagogy, right? What we're teaching and how we're teaching it. It's achieved through programs, and in my personal opinion, if character and beauty is being taught in schools around the country, character is probably more often being taught in athletics programs than in the classroom. And if students are learning beauty in the country, in the schools, it's probably happening in the visual arts, in the visual and performing arts programs than in the classroom. I could say similar things about programs like pentathlon and mock trial, for instance. If that's true, then OCCA needs to have a very robust set of programs to help to produce and form students that are well-rounded in all aspects in terms of what we mean by this mission. And then finally, traditions. Traditions. We are the product of our habits, right? So if we're forming students, what our students are doing regularly, the rituals, the liturgies, the traditions are critical in forming our students, right? And so traditions is actually a really important emphasis for a classical school. So if we look back at our LCAP and the kinds of things that we have funded and identified as actions, you can actually see how a number of those things fall within these three categories. So I want you to sort of look at this to get an idea of what this looks like practically for a classical school to reflect its priorities in an LCAP, okay? So here is what we have, for instance, under pedagogy, all right? We've increased SPED and IA staffing. We've expanded training programs for teachers, and we instituted departmental chairs, right? And we could add more things, like for instance, I definitely put there that we have a full-time librarian now, which is very key to this particular aspect of classical education. The point is that it's through these particular actions documented in our LCAPs that helps us to support this particular dimension of a classical school. And then for programs, we've expanded sports and visual and performing arts staffing, for instance. We've added an assistant athletic director. I know we've added music teachers and art directors. And we've supported programs like pentathlon, and we're planning on starting a mock trial team for next year. And again, I could go on, but these are the sorts of things that we need to really be able to develop and allow to flourish at our school to achieve this additional dimension. And then when it comes to traditions, really key to being able to achieve these objectives comes down to having departmental chairs dedicated to culture. I know most of you know who Mrs. Graham is, and she's done a wonderful job in our upper school program. And then we've rolled out the house system. This year's been a particular highlight. Anyone who goes on Facebook has probably seen the video of House Day 1. That gives you a glimpse of what we're trying to achieve in the area of building traditions in our school. And then some other items, just this last year, we have a weekly Eagle update that we tape and show to school and sometimes to parents. We have a student-initiated lower school Eaglet Observer, a newspaper. And then every Monday morning, we have an upper school morning ceremony, which is really amazing to watch. It's an opportunity for the upper school to get together and start the week the right way through an assembly. So this is what we mean by traditions. And so if we think about a classical school trying to achieve that mission of formation, pedagogy, programs, and traditions really are the three key things. And then what's really important to understand is these are, as it were, the engine of achieving our mission, but there has to be the necessary supports to make these things possible. So think about it in terms of we need to have curriculum, programs, and traditions, but we also need teachers and staffing to support these programs. They need to be equipped to be able to do it well. And then we need to have a school that can help support the teachers and the staff as they are realizing these outcomes. And that goes to everything from our front office to our supporting systems and processes to literally the facilities itself, right? So this is a very holistic way to look at a school. But at the heart of it, the mission is formation. And these are the three aspects that are critical for us to achieve this as a classical school. So that's my 3-slide approach to describing what we're after as a classical school. Let's talk about what LCAP is. All right, don't let the slides scare you, all right? LCAP is simply a process. It's a process. It has a lot of moving parts, but I'll walk you through it. But it's essentially a process. And really the process comes down to we as a school reaching out to all the key stakeholders in our community. So we're talking about you, the parents, the students, our own staff, and collecting those inputs so that we can develop a set of goals and actions for next year that really do reflect our mission and all the people that are involved, our community, to be able to achieve that mission the best way possible. And really the key is being able to itemize that and then align it with how we fund it. And if we do this well, we're actually going to be able to implement this next year in a way that's very effective in the money that we have so we can achieve the best outcomes as a school, and particularly as a classical school. So really the calendar we're looking at is April, May, and June. This month is April, and you, the parents, get to see the first aspect of the LCAP process. We're going to be reaching out to you as parents to get your inputs. And then at the same time, we're approaching our staff this month and next month through what's called an instructional needs exercise to get a very granular understanding from our staff and teachers' point of view, what sorts of things we could help to support next year. And then all this leads up to a local control and accountability plan that takes those inputs and reflects that in terms of goals and actions in a way that's very itemized. And we actually, once it's approved by the board, you can actually find that LCAP on our website, right? And this is how we take that mission and turn into actions so that we can realize it to its fullest next year. So we have to be able to do this in a way that's in accordance with the LCAP and how it's structured. So sometimes an LCAP document can be a little hard to read, and it can be a little hard to see the classical aspect given how things are worded. So our goals as LCAP has to be broken out into sections of goals. We have 3 of them, right? And here's our first goal. All students will receive classical education instruction provided by credentialed teachers and support staff, and our faculty will be maintained, our facility will be maintained in good repair. That's a very strange sentence. You don't usually see classical education and facility maintenance in the same sentence, right? The reason why you see that and other aspects of that or other goals is because we have to be able to touch on key requirements of the LCAP stated by the state. And so what this ends up doing is it creates goals that tend to include a lot of different aspects of those requirements. So, but you will notice that when you look at these goals, you do see after reflection what we're trying to achieve as a classical school. All right, and I'm sorry, but 2 and 3 are very long. Okay, so number 2, increase student achievement through strong instructional support, such as with curriculum materials, resources, etc. The training provided will focus on developing a high-quality classical education, learning through implementation of classical standards that also provide access to state standards. So that last part there is a good example. We absolutely need to include something in OCAP that reflects that these students are going to be assessed at the state level. Number 3, all parents, that's you, will be invited to become true partners in their children's education. We will offer workshops, events, stakeholder engagements, etc., and services, decision-making practice at school with special attention provided to English learners and special education. So those are our goals. Those goals were set last year. The LCAP happens in a period of 3 years, and so the first, the LCAP that we're under now was drafted last year, and so this is the first of those 3 years going forward. And then after these 3 years conclude, we see how we performed against those requirements and expectations. And then the next 3 years happen and we redraft our LCAP all over again. Hopefully, each 3 years we get a little better and a little better at capturing on our LCAP the sorts of things we want to achieve as a classical school. So those are the goals. So how are we going to find out from you, the parents, what you have to share with us in terms of recommendations? Well, that happens in the parent survey, and you probably remember the parent survey you received last year, and you're going to be basically seeing a variation of that. And if you remember the survey last year, you saw that there are a lot of opportunities for input. And if you actually walked into Headmaster Park's office sometime in May, you would have seen across the walls all of the, and we had like a couple hundred, all of those recommendations from the parents actually grouped out under categories, and we looked at those as staff and tried to identify the pattern and what the actual actions are that we need to do to achieve that. So that kind of gives you an idea of what it looks like behind the curtains in terms of how we process this. So here are the questions you are going to receive in the parent survey. They might be tweaked a little bit, but this is more or less what you should be seeing. The school is visibly dedicated to achieving its mission. In light of the mission, I am pleased with the academic program at OCCA, and you'll be able to answer in terms of highly agree, don't agree, highly don't agree, right? And then the school has knowledgeable, dedicated teachers. The school cultivates a sound culture that fosters the virtues. The school watches over and has an effective plan, utilizing building safety and drills for physical safety of students. Overall, I communication. The school's front office is supportive and helpful. The school provides ample opportunities for parental participation. And then it asks a couple of questions for specific input from you, right? Which opportunities for parental participation would you be most comfortable attending or are interested in? And then there's going to be actually a list of options. And there's a category other. If there's something that you see that isn't captured in those categories, please share that. What are some topics you'd like to learn more about? We're always interested, Mr. Davis is always interested, especially, to know what you would like to learn. And you'll see that there's some categories offered under that question. Also other, so if there's something not captured in those categories, feel free to fill out other to add what you think would be interesting. The school leadership team is effective at accomplishing the mission. The school board is effective at informing and offering opportunities for engagement to parents and board activities. And I would recommend OCCA to other prospective parents. And depending on how you answer those questions, highly agree, don't agree, etc., you're actually going to be prompted after that, suggesting, well, if you don't agree, could you make some recommendations about how we can fulfill this? If you enter highly agree, you're going to be asked, give some examples of how we're really fulfilling this mission. Because that's also helpful for us to understand where our strengths are, so we can keep that in mind as we're continuing to work on this LCAP for this year. All right. So really, the parent survey is how we reach out to you as parents. Now, think of it as a broad net where we try to ask all the questions that you need to tell us what you have to share with us, right? And try, if you can, after looking at those questions, to answer and make recommendations if you have recommendations, right? And in the case of, if you highly agree on some of these questions, share what it is in particular that you think distinguishes us in terms of how we fulfill that particular aspect of a classical school. With your input as parents, it helps us become a better school. So I think typically we get about 100 parents, 100 responses on the survey, and that's like less than a third, I think, right? So it would be great. It'd be great if we could get more parents, because the more information we have, the more this LCAP is going to reflect what you want. Oh, and number 14 is just if you have any other questions. All right. Now, do you have any other questions?
So just so you know, based on the input from the parents, the topics that we include for the following year during Coffee with the Headmaster or AAC meetings, parent workshops, whatever it might be, it's heavily considered. So all the topics that we included during this year's Coffee with the Headmasters were the hot topics that parents requested on the survey. So we just really encourage you. We want to give you presentations based on your highest level of interest, what you want to learn more about. So as much as you can keep it detailed, I know we don't have a lot of attendees in person for Coffee with the Headmaster, but we do get, I think it's over 100 views at least for each of the presentations. I do know that parents do listen and find it to be helpful, but we would rather prepare and present on topics that you want to learn more about.
Absolutely. Any questions? Okay. Duncan, no question. Are there any questions on the? Okay. All right. If you have any, feel free to email me at michael.davis@orangecountyclassicalacademy. Thank you.